that the jobs of thousands of Americans who work in national security or education or clean energy, not to mention the growth of the entire economy, should be put in jeopardy just because folks in Washington couldn't come together to eliminate a few special interest tax loopholes or government programs.
That's President Obama in the White House briefing room today, and he's urging Congress to pass a short-term budget that would delay the deep budget cuts known as sequestration. Those are going to take effect next month. The president's plan would include spending cuts and increases in revenue, a balanced approach. So in a statement, House Speaker John Boehner responded to the president's proposal, saying, "We believe there is a better way to reduce the deficit. The president's sequester should be replaced with spending cuts and reforms. That will start us on the path to balancing the budget in 10 years. Notice no balance in terms of revenues. So the question is, are Congress and the White House headed for yet another big showdown? Well, joining us from Washington to answer that question is Congresswoman Karen Bass of California. She's a member of the House Budget Committee, and she's a friend of the War Room. Welcome back inside. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on again.
You bet. So the Republicans are saying that President Obama's plan, as he announced today, is dead on arrival. Are they being serious? Is this just a posturing before they actually reach a deal?
Well, you know, I certainly hope it is, because the fact of the matter is we're now 3 weeks away from the hammer falling. And what the president has called for and what the Democratic leadership has called for is for the Republican majority to act responsibly. Why on earth would they want to send our economy into another recession? So if we can't come to the grand deal by March 1st, what the president has said, what the Democratic leadership has said is, okay, do another short-term proposal, but make it balanced. You cannot reduce the deficit through cuts alone. I don't know how many times we have to say this.
Exactly. Well, and you got some validation today because the Congressional Budget Office released a report which is actually saying that the projected budget deficit for this fiscal year will be $845 billion. For the past 4 years, deficits have exceeded $1 trillion. So obviously you're seeing a decline in the amount of deficit. The question is, are the Republicans really crying wolf when they continue to talk about growing deficits when, in fact, the measures that the president and Congress have taken so far have actually caused the deficit to decrease?
Well, exactly, especially the last plan where we did have a balanced approach for once. But what Speaker Boehner has said is that the president got his revenue, and so there's not going to be a balanced approach anymore. You know, when Paul Ryan put his budget forward last year, it wouldn't have reached balance for like 20 or 30 years. So if you are talking about a balanced budget in 10 years, the only way from their perspective to do that is absolute draconian cuts. And when they are talking about reforms, you and I are very well aware that that is just a code word for taking Medicare and turning it into a voucher, taking Medicaid and putting it into a block grant, which is another way of saying a significant cut to these programs that I believe are part of what makes us a great country.
I just don't understand what about data people don't respond to. For example, in the Congressional Budget Office today, when they issued their report saying that if the sequester goes through, or if the cuts like that, I mean, whether they're all cuts through the sequester as they've already been determined, or all cuts in another way, you are going to slow the growth of the economy, and it will damage the country. If you have a balanced approach, you're going to see twice as much growth as you would if you had left the sequester or some version of the sequester in place. It drives me nuts. Anyway, an article in Politico today said that in order to reduce spending, Republicans are actually considering, though, cuts to the Pentagon, which, of course, the sequester already contains. But that is something that they have heretofore thought to be unthinkable. So the question is, if the Republicans are willing to give a bit on the Pentagon cuts, are Democrats going to give on any social programs?
Well, and you know already we have cut over $1 trillion, and the only way we have been addressing the deficit, minus what we did on January 2nd, has been through cuts alone. And so I think that our safety net is already tattered, and I certainly don't want to see it destroyed. Now, having said that, I do think there's ways to find savings. There's ways to find savings in Medicare, for example, where you're not reducing benefits, you're not raising the age, but you're renegotiating prescription drugs, for just one example. So we can find savings without having any further cuts that actually slow the growth of our economy.
Yeah, totally agree. Tell us just quickly about the process from here. There is only 3 weeks left, so what happens right now? The leadership goes in. What's the process?
You know, that's a very interesting question, because if you look at the month of February, we're only in session for 11 days. And so that is a bit of a mystery to the Democrats. But I will tell you what the process should be, is that there should be a budget that is voted on, you know, on our floor that goes over to the Senate. Now, what I'm hoping is that my Republican colleagues won't do what they've done over the last couple of years, which is pass budgets that they absolutely know are dead on arrival when they hit the Senate. Pass a budget that is completely cuts, that's devastating our programs that are guaranteed for our safety net. And so are they going to pass a budget that's a message bill, or are they going to pass a budget that is serious and prevents the sequester from happening?
So behind the scenes, are meetings happening right now so that they do pass something that's not just for show?
Well, I don't believe that they're bipartisan meetings that are happening. I hope that there are meetings happening within their own caucus. You know, I do still think, although we're a couple of months away from the election, I do still think there's a level of disorientation that is happening.
You think?
You
think?
You know, the whole viewpoint over the last 2 years was, let's do whatever we can to make sure that the president isn't reelected. Now that we're past that, I don't think they know exactly what to do.
Yeah, they have to put a new CD in their drive. It's a different program, folks. That's Congresswoman Karen Bass. Thank you so much for joining us.